Good morning, YouTube. This is Los Angeles Prepper. Quick thank you to Prepper Bob for the recent shout out. He's such a good guy. And good job, Prepper Bob, with that video editor. Having fun over there. When you had that video and the bubbles and the beer, man, I was dying. That was hilarious. But today we're going to talk about something not hilarious. Texas couple survives being stranded 6 days in rural Utah. What the hell? What the hell happened to this couple? Well, they went out and man, I can really relate to this, and I'll kind of get to that. But they went out in a rental car, not really a rental SUV, but sort of a rental car. You can see their car pictured over here. I can't even tell what it is. Looks like like a sedan, like a Corolla or something. But so they went out for what they planned on being a day trip. They followed their GPS up some road, which was, if they had a real map, it would have showed them that it was, probably one of those dashed lines that means like unimproved county roads or 4x4 road or something. But at any rate, there were several mistakes that this unfortunate couple made. And so we're going to talk about them. But they drove up this road all these miles, and then they got to a part where they couldn't, like, I don't know, the road got rough or it was washed out or there was a landslide or something. But anyways, they got to a point where they couldn't go any further, but then they couldn't turn around, which is the part that I really just like completely baffles me. Of everything on this, they got a flat tire. That's right. So they got to a part where they couldn't turn around. They got a flat tire. Let's see here. They popped a tire and they got stuck. So what I don't really get about that is number one. Okay, I get getting stuck, but were they stuck in the mud? Were they stuck because they high sided their car? Um, were they stuck because they couldn't get a jack under the car to fix the tire? What happened? How did they get stuck? Why did the rental cars usually have a spare, even if it's a donut? So how did getting stuck lead to them not being able to change the spare tire? It's just maybe they don't off road a lot, but I've been in some pretty tight spots. I've high sided. I've had wheels slip. Just really unfortunate that they weren't able to unstick the vehicle, because that would have gotten them out right there, obviously, if they could have got their car unstuck. But so because they were going on a day trip, they really didn't have like any food or water on them. Maybe they had a bottle of water or something, but they certainly didn't have anything in the vehicle, even an emergency supply. So I guess they made an SOS sign, which was ultimately found by a rancher, which was sort of serendipitous, just a really positive happenstance, because fortunate happenstance, because they were probably going to die out there. They'd been out there 6 days. They were really dehydrated. The wife was found lying in the road. They were drinking from puddles. Um, just a really harrowing experience. Um, so let's talk about how to not end up like this couple when you're going out on a little day trip. All right, so lesson number one. Lesson number one, I'm gonna say, don't don't travel in an area that has a type of terrain that you're not um, that you don't have a lot of familiarity with in regards to navigating that terrain with the type of vehicle you're on. So don't try to. Yeah, that's kind of a complicated lesson, but the point is they're on this dirt road that's kind of getting rougher and rougher. but they're not in an off-road vehicle. It sounds like they didn't really have a lot of off-road experience because, you get two people, you get a couple that off-roads frequently, even if they're in a Corolla or whatever. Um, the couple's going to know how to pile up rocks and get twigs and try, maybe the vehicle was unable to get stuck with just a tire jack, but it's unclear if they sort of even tried to get the vehicle unstuck or if it just got stuck and the tires were spinning and they said, well, I guess we're stuck now. So the lesson number one is, kind of stick to areas that you're familiar with, or at least if you're not familiar with it, make sure that you're prepared enough to kind of deal with possible situations. Lesson number two, have some food and water with you. Just a minimum, but that really hindered their ability to take care of themselves. It put them in a very dangerous situation. Even if they only had 3 or 4 days of food and water, they would have been in a lot better shape, maybe to make a signal fire or to do something like that. Try to climb up a mountain and get some better cell service, who knows. Lesson number three, physical fitness. I just made a video the other day about um, pushing yourself, about that bike ride that I took. Have I gone on a 16-mile hike recently? No. But am I confident that even without food and water, I could make it 16 miles? Yeah, it would. Look, I'd be thirsty and cranky as heck, but I would make it. I'd be really thirsty. Oh my gosh, I drink like a fish, anyways. But water, fluids. Sometimes I drink coffee like a fish, but you got to be prepared to huff it out when you have to on foot or on bicycle or whatever. It was really unfortunate. Granted, if Gerald, if the or if the white, if both of them figured out that they're not in shape to walk out, don't try to walk out. Don't push yourself if you're going to think it's going to put you on death's doorstep. But going into a really remote area like that, not being in the physical shape to be able to walk out in an emergency, that's a risky thing. So physical fitness. Lesson number four. Don't consider the dangers of going out into an area if you're not, going out to the wilderness if you don't have wilderness survival skills. I'm not sure if they had the ability to make a fire. I'm sure that they did. They had, there were sticks around them, and they must have at least understood the concept of Indians making fire with a stick. It would take a lot of energy if they were completely clueless on it, but they had the car battery. They could have tried to do something with some sparks. Even some gasoline and a rag and some sparks. You might get lucky. Did they have a lighter or anything? Magnifying glass from their glasses. It was a little bit sunny out there. I know it was kind of raining, but a minimum of survival skills, you would have been able to make a fire, even if you didn't have any bug out stuff on you. Or, make shelter. Were they getting cold? Were they keeping themselves dry? Did they have any foraging ability? Were they probably weren't making snares to catch or making slingshots or bow and arrows to catch a bird, or I don't know if they were digging for grubs or what they were doing, but I think they were pretty much running out of water other than what they were getting in creeks or little puddles and starving out there. um, that's the scary part. They weren't just stuck, but they were stuck without any supplies, and they were, every day they're out there, they're thinking, we don't have any supplies, we don't know how to take care of ourselves, we're stuck, we can't get out, we're not in shape to get out. No one ever comes up this road. Psychologically, they were in a really crappy place. And rightfully so. It wasn't, not even about feeling sorry for yourself, but a logical, sane person in that situation would think, shit, I'm in a really bad situation right now. You know? So, outdoor skills. and I'll leave it. We'll end with lesson number 5. Um, so let's see. We have don't go in areas that you're not familiar with, considering your transportation, get food and water, keep your physical fitness up, keep your survival skills up. Lesson number 5, I'm going to say if you are trying to push yourself as far as getting out into nature, take it step by step. I mean, God bless this couple for renting a car and saying we're going to go off on this crazy road trip and to be um and I'll talk a little bit about some experiences I've had and about kind of my folks because this really hits home for me. I always feel like my folks are kind of young, but they are of they're 65 and 64, 66 and 65, and to be honest, they love doing this stuff. They'll now my dad and my folks, my mom and dad are a little more experienced in the outdoor ways of life. He does have a Jeep, which is a 4x4. So he doesn't have a winch. I don't know if he has a lot of tow cable with him. In fact, man, a winch would be a great present for him. I don't know. He doesn't really like throwing a lot of stuff on the Jeep. He's not a minimalist, but he's not really about, oh, I'm going to put a high lift jack and I'm going to put a shovel on it and I'm going to put a cargo rack on the top. And he just kind of likes to keep it simple and clean. Maybe it's a subconscious gray man theory. He doesn't want to stand out. I don't know. But anyways, my folks do this stuff all the time. And a few years ago, um, probably like 5 or 10 years ago, I know they were telling me they were going on some trip. And I said, look, you know, it's cool that you're going on this trip, but keep in mind you're going out into the boonies. And since I've been out in the boonies a few times with my vehicles, and I've been really fortunate to never had a vehicle completely break down in the middle of nowhere. And I used to go out on dirt bikes and in my Jeep by myself in areas that didn't have cell phone coverage for hours and hours and hours in Arizona down the backside of Mount Lemmon. Not some of my smartest moves, but to be fair, I was always somewhere that I could walk out in a day or two to civilization. Now, if I hurt myself to where I couldn't walk out, or I roll the vehicle and I get trapped, then I'm not having a good day. But fortunately, that never happened. So I do worry about my parents with this. They're not, they've had vehicles break down. They've had to get towed out of areas. My dad knows how to work on cars a little bit, but some things you just can't fix. You blow a connecting rod, you punch a hole through your piston, or you blow a couple spark plugs out of the cylinder. You know, you can only fix so many things. So step by step, if you're looking to get out in nature and go for a hike, don't go for a 20-mile hike. Go for a 5-mile hike. Go for a day trip. Go for a couple day hikes. See how your feet feel. See how your boots work. See what's chafing and what's getting rashes. I mean, seriously. Then go out for a 10-mile hike, then a 15-mile hike. Don't go by yourself. Go with friends. Don't rely on GPS and your cell phone. Bring physical maps. Same with the car. Don't go out on a 30-mile off-road, crazy adventure. Start with short little trips. Probably best to have a 4x4 if you're going to go off-road. You don't need a winch. You don't need 2 types of winches and 100 feet of tow cable, but have some tow cable, have a shovel, have, have some type of ropes or pulleys or blocks or, there's a lot of ways to get unstuck without a winch or without a shovel. And, watch some videos on that stuff. Or watch some stuff on, how to get unstuck, how to pile stuff under your tires, how to wrap a rope around your tire. And, there's so many, so many things you could learn. And there's so many great reasons to get outdoors, but, step by step. These guys almost had a really bad day. I mean, they did. They had several bad days. They almost, they almost died. They almost died. Completely preventable death. Completely preventable. Being in a little better shape, being more familiar with off-roading, have a little bit of food and water, having a few more survival skills. having a little more experience. It's completely preventable. So like, comment, and subscribe. Um, Let me know if how you feel about what happened and what they could have done to kind of prevent it. And thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.